What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Micah McCamey, and in last episode, we talked about how the ceiling for the Tennessee Titans is 11-6, and we talked about the factors that go behind us going 11-6, like Will Levis balling out, and Brian Callahan's calling being halfway decent, and the secondary locking down, because of course we need them to. And in today's episode, we are going to be going over the mock draft that I posted out to Twitter a few days ago. If you haven't followed my Twitter account, you should probably go do that right now. All right? So, we're going to be going over that. And I did make a change to one of the picks because the mock draft was really weird. So, I just decided to replace the Steel Chambers pick at 106 and go for a linebacker that's probably still going to be there. So now we move on to today's topic. But before we do that, I need to mention something that I feel like needs to be mentioned because this dude was important to Tennessee Titans history. It was reported, I believe today, Logan Ryan has retired from the game of football. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I know everything about Logan Ryan's entire career, because that would just be lying. I don't know everything about Logan Ryan's career. But I do know this. He was the last player to ever catch a pass from Tom Brady in New England. So, I feel like that he's got to be talked about. He was the one to get the playoff win and help the Titans become less of a joke. He was the one to show everyone that we were serious in the Mike Vrabel era. And he was the one to help us get over the hump of 9-7. At least he was part of the big reason. Because I know that obviously he wasn't the only reason. I mean, we still had Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. But you get what I mean. He was the one to kickstart it. So we just got to thank him for everything that he has done for the Titans organization. Because even outside of that one pick, he was a good ball player. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But anyway, let's get into today's episode. Now, the mock draft. Our mock drafts have had a lot of controversy recently. Like, there's a lot of debate over, is it going to be receiver? Is it going to be left tackle? Is it going to be edge? Is it going to be Brock Bowers? I'm not going to say the tight end position because there's only one tight end that is even being considered for 7. So, with all of this speculation going around, I'll give my 2 cents about it. Now, obviously, there's going to be a little bit of controversy, so I apologize to anyone who gets offended by this, which I would be shocked if someone got offended by this. If someone is upset with this, then I'm sorry beforehand. So, now, let's get right into this mock draft, starting out with the spicy pick number 7. Now, this is something that gets talked about in the Titans fan base a lot. Who is the 7th pick going to be? There's been zero clear read on who this is going to be. Is it going to be our boy Joe Alt? Is it going to be Malik Neighbors? Those are the 2 big options right now that people think could actually happen. Or is it even going to be Rome? Who knows? So obviously, on the thumbnail, I have Neighbors, Alt, and I'm asking, who is it gonna be? And here I am to tell you that, in my opinion, the Tennessee Titans, if both are on the board, which is very unlikely, but if they were to be on the board at the same time, the Tennessee Titans should select Joe Alt, left tackle out of Notre Dame. I know it's Notre Dame, but it just is more fun to pronounce it that way. So, why is this even a debate? I don't get it. All right? Because, I get it. Malik Neighbors, great wide receiver. That makes us the best receiver core in the league. And frankly, actually, no, not the best receiver core. Let me not get ahead of myself. There are still better receiver cores out there. But I have said it myself. If we were to draft Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, then that would probably be a big deal, as in the receiver core, if Odunze or Neighbors were to reach their potential, could be top 5 in the league. Like, it is the idea of ridiculousness and just having an absolutely bonkers receiver core. And I know how tempting that is, especially to somebody who just really wants to see offense go boom. But there's a very important factor to watching the offense go boom, and that is the offensive line. Now, I don't care that we signed Lloyd Cushenberry, that we have our guy at left guard, and that right guard should be stable. All right? Obviously, I'm happy with that, but that does not mean that our offensive line is going to be 10 times better, because left tackle is a big, glaring hole in our offensive line. Let's just be real about that. So, left tackle. Let's talk about left tackle. We have Jalen Duncan as our left tackle right now. Do we really want to start Jalen Duncan again? Unless Bill Callahan sees something that we don't, I do not want to start Jalen Duncan again. All right? And here is one of my biggest points is that, we can go one more year without a top end receiver. Like, we can go another year with it being, the same receiver core that we have right now, because there's still Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins in that receiver core. But if we missed out on left tackle, we have nobody. All right? If we missed out on left tackle, that would mean that Jalen Duncan was our starter. Now, could Andrus Peat end up signing with us? And is that probably the most likely scenario if we pick a receiver? Sure. But, he is not a long-term answer. I would rather have the long-term answer for left tackle right now and Joe Alt than I would be prepared for something that is going to happen a year or two from now, like with the receiver core. And obviously, injuries can always happen. Calvin Ridley could be out for the season. DeAndre Hopkins could tear his ACL. Somebody could get injured in that receiver core, and then we're right back to what we had last year. But my problem with that is that one injury to the left tackle, and we have no left tackle. Who is our left tackle after that? It's the same argument both ways. If someone gets injured in the receiver core, we have the same receiver core. If someone gets injured on the offensive line, we have the same offensive line, except with maybe a tiny bit better. Just a tiny bit. So, my opinion is that I think that this is the obvious move, that you go with Joe Alt, you get your left tackle of the future, solidify that left side for the next decade and a half, potentially, and rely on Joe Alt's athletic ability and the fact that Bill Callahan can be as good as he's ever been and develop Joe Alt. Now, moving on, we have pick 38. This one is also quite controversial. I wouldn't say it's as controversial as pick 7, because even the casual fans will get on that and be like, oh, I think we should draft Brock Bowers. No, I think we should draft Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt. The casual fans also get in on that one. But, the real, true, hardcore Titans fans get in on these later picks. And this is obviously, outside of the 7th, this is the most controversial pick. Because, there are questions. If we draft left tackle, do we go receiver or edge? If we draft receiver, do we go edge or tackle? Or even if we go edge for some stupid reason, I would be shocked if we even thought about going with edge in the first round. I get it. Dallas Turner is tempting, but no, just no. All right. If we get an edge in the first round, like I said, what would we do then? Would we draft receiver or would we draft tackle? There are questions among all of this. So since I have left tackle, it's obviously down to receiver and edge. And because, again, of the fact that our receiver core will be good for at least next year, I am going to go edge. Give me Darius Robinson out of Mizzou. All right. So obviously, there's a reason that he's being picked in the second round. It's not like he's just going to, set the world on fire in his first year, have 11 sacks or something like that. But who knows? He could. Is it likely? No, but he could. And also, you would be pairing him up with Jeffrey Simmons. That's a great situation for an edge to land in. Like, you have Jeffrey Simmons on the other side. You have Sebastian Joseph Day, who is very underrated in the middle. And you have an amazing secondary. Even if Elijah Molden is our starting safety, he's not horrible. Like, he's not Christian Fulton bad. Like, he's not going to bring down that entire secondary. They may be a little worse than expected, but it's still going to be a very good secondary, no matter what happens at that safety position. At least in my opinion. But, what do I know? So you're putting him in in one of the best situations that you could possibly put him in as an edge. So that's why I want to go with edge here, because he's going to be put in a good situation. He can develop into a dude that can play alongside Big Jeff, and he can, slowly develop, and, it's good insurance for just in case if Big Jeff's contract runs out and we can't pay him because we still got to pay Levis, and, we may end up having to pay Ridley, or we may end up paying big bucks for someone else, like Joe Alt even, like, for stuff like that in the future, we'll still have him on that rookie contract. That is why I am going with Darius Robinson. Now, moving on with pick 106. Now, this one was very bad on my last mock draft, at least on Twitter, and that's why this is the only one that I changed, because I picked Steele Chambers, who in reality is a 7th round middle linebacker, like I said back a few months ago. But the only reason that I picked him was because the linebacker situation in the mock draft that I did, in the mock draft simulator at least, was so weird. Like, all of the linebackers that were supposed to go in the 4th were gone, and it was just 7th round ones left. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to put, I knew Steele Chambers, so I'm just going to, put Steele Chambers here and make sure that he is like a placeholder for the middle linebacker position. So I did some research on the middle linebacker position, and I found this. Yeah, take a wild guess what the position is going to be. It's middle linebacker, and I'm going with J.D. Bertrand. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Middle linebacker out of Notre Dame. Now, here's the thing, all right? So I do not care who the middle linebacker is. If we reach on Steele Chambers, whatever. If we get this dude, that's cool. If we get the NC State linebacker, that's also awesome. All right? I would love any of these dudes. And the only reason I do is because I don't know if y'all did your research on Ran Carthon and his time in San Francisco, but he has a track record of helping draft very good linebackers. And before you call me crazy, I'm just like, man, John Lynch made those decisions. Wait, that's their GM's name, right? I think. Anyway, if that's the Seahawks GM, I'm so sorry, Niners fans. But even though he wasn't calling the final shot, he definitely had some say in the linebacker position, at least from what I've heard about what his job was back in San Francisco. So that gives me the obvious feeling that, of course, yeah, why not? All right? Whoever the linebacker is going to be good, at least in my opinion. And linebacker is the most plug-and-play position in the NFL. So, actually, no. Let me take that back. Nose tackle is the most plug-and-play position. I'll get to that later. But anyway, this dude also, JD, he was also known as, like, he was starting to get better. He progressed in coverage as the years went on. So that's something that we got to look at. Like, if he's progressing in coverage, then that means that he could be our coverage middle linebacker, which is a perfect pairing with Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray is not a good coverage middle linebacker. So we just send him in on a blitz. We let JD do all the coverage, and our defense will be okay. Obviously, we could just, go with Otis Reese, but I don't think that our front office has confidence that the pairing of Otis Reese and Kenneth Murray is going to get the job done. All right? So, that's just my opinion. Yes, my final thoughts are the Titans should definitely draft a linebacker in this class unless they're just really confident in Otis Reese. And if they don't, they should probably sign some random veteran that ends up getting cut during the offseason. So that's my insight on linebacker. I think that we draft one so that way we have youth at that position. So that's just my opinion on the linebacker situation. Now, moving on. I'm going to start talking a little less about each player just because of the fact that I am not as educated on these next few guys, except for like two, and they're back-to-back as well, so that will probably take up most of the time here, so just want to let y'all know that. But this is not one of them. With my 146th pick, I went with Trent Jones. Trent with an E. Who came up with that? Anyway, so Trent Jones, offensive tackle out of Michigan. Now, Trent Jones is a very interesting case because obviously he's developmental, but he was a part of an offensive line that helped win a national championship. So I think that this is a great idea. Now, okay, before you throw your pitchforks and bring your knives out, no, I don't know what side of the O-line he plays on, and I am so sorry about that. All right? I am rushing this episode because I got other things to do tonight, so I am sorry about that. But anyway, he is either a left tackle or a right tackle. And the benefit of this is that we have Bill Callahan. Now, I know that I say this a lot, but Bill Callahan is the best coach in these situations. He may be on the left side, and that's okay. We can move him to the right side. Bill Callahan's known for that stuff. And if he is already on the right side, that works out just fine. All right? So, Bill Callahan is such a good offensive line coach. Like, I don't think y'all understand that. I genuinely believe that he could develop this dude into a solid starting right tackle if he really wanted to. Maybe not this year, but like give it 1 year, and then next year, yes, I can 100% see that. Like, go get a bridge guy this year. Go get like a, what's his name? He was rumored to go to the Titans. George Fant. Go get a George Fant or something like that and sign him in free agency on a 1-year deal. Let this dude learn under him and let this dude also get developed by Bill Callahan, and we will be fine at the right tackle position. Now, am I guaranteeing you that this is going to be the best right tackle in the NFL one day? No. But I am telling you that he still has the chance to be solid under Bill Callahan. Now, moving on. Pick 182. This is the one that I got the most love for. Everybody loved this pick. And why wouldn't they? Everybody loves this player. And I drafted Luke McCaffrey with the 182nd pick. And Luke McCaffrey is quite the amazing, astonishing player. I think that he will be the biggest steal of the draft. I don't know if he's going to Tennessee. I don't know if he's going somewhere else. He could be joining up with his big bro in San Francisco. But wherever he goes, I think he is going to be good. And I think he will be the Puka Nacua of this draft. Now, will he be as good as Puka immediately? No. Will he ever be as good as Puka was this year? Who knows? But I genuinely believe that he has the ceiling to be something like that. Like, he has the same physical traits as his brother. He has the same, he has the same 40 time. He has the same cone time. I believe they bench similar too. Like, this dude, I think, is just destined to be a very good player for any team that drafts him. He was able to have 900 yards and like 12 touchdowns with JT Daniels, who retired from football in college. Like, this dude, and he hasn't even played receiver for that long. Like, he's had the athletic ability to play receiver, but he played quarterback in high school, and he played quarterback for like the first 2 years of his college career before moving to receiver whenever he transferred to Rice. So, that being said, he could end up saving the future of the Titans receiving corps if he ended up being good. And if he doesn't, man, I don't know. We can go get T. Higgins next year because I don't think he's moving. I don't think he's going anywhere this year. And obviously, we weren't going to trade for him after giving Calvin Ridley that monster deal. So, that's just my personal opinion. Luke McCaffrey, you are the steal of the draft. Now, moving on. Kamal Hadden is my next pick at pick 221. I kind of threw myself off guard there. So, Kamal Hadden, he is a defensive back for Tennessee. Now, I promise you I'm not biased whenever I make this pick. I 100% promise you. If I was biased, I would actually tell you that you shouldn't draft Kamal Hadden because a lot of people in the Vols fandom really don't like this dude. Do I know why? No, because he's the best defensive back, or he was at least before he got injured, on that roster. And he helped make our defense at least decent. He was the reason that he was one of the big reasons that we even won 8 games and had that big lead over Bama going into the second half of that game. Now, did we blow the lead? Yes, but there are a lot of other factors to that. So, yes, Kamal Hadden should be the pick. And I genuinely believe this. You're going to call me crazy for this. I do not care. But I believe that Kamal Hadden, if we give him time to develop, if our defensive backs coach is good, and Chidobe starts wearing off, I genuinely believe that he could take Chidobe's spot at some point in his career. And I know how crazy that sounds, but I just think it's true. All right, now those were the guys I was going to talk about the most. So now I'm going to go into 2 other guys. And one of these dudes is just depth. One of them is for the future. So here we go. 242, Justin Rogers, defensive tackle out of Auburn. Now, I think that this dude is really good, just personally. He is a little tiny, but he was a big part of that Auburn defense that helped Auburn just be an okay team, at least. So, Justin Rogers, I genuinely believe that he could be our starting defensive tackle at some point because we need a defensive tackle. I think that that's obvious. Like, we need one for the future at least because, like, Sebastian, as much as I think that he is a very underrated menace, is not going to be the future. He's going to be here for 1 year, and then he's going to go sign somewhere random. And even then, we need someone to pair up with him. So, I decided, hey, why not go get this dude? And before people start murmuring at me like, he's undersized. You know who else was undersized? Aaron Donald. Now, am I saying that this dude's going to be any Aaron Donald? No, not at all. There are not going to be that many players that are going to end up being like Aaron Donald ever again. But I believe that this dude could be decent, and I think that he could be a menace on the defensive line. So that's why I have him being picked with our second to last pick at pick 242. Now, 252, I have Frank Gore Jr., running back out of Southern Miss. Now, this dude was really only drafted, for me at least, because I think that he could be a very good depth piece. Like, this is the only depth piece that I had. Everybody else, I went in with the mentality of this guy could end up being a key starter for us. This dude, I was just like, okay, he can be decent, but like, I'm just going to bring him on as like depth and whatnot. But here's the thing. Is he going to be his dad? Probably not. Actually, I can almost guarantee you that he isn't. But is there a chance? Who knows? So, why not take a flyer on him in like the 7th round? Why not give him a chance to at least evolve into even half what his father was? So, that is the mock draft. And that will end today's episode. I have Instagram, I have Twitter, and I have TikTok, all under the Titans Rundown. And trust me, you may want to follow my Twitter and Instagram accounts because those are some of the ones that I take my pride and joy in. So if y'all want to go see those, then right on. But anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Titans draft. I love y'all, and tighten up.